Number 1.
And the clear choice is the men's soccer team and their incredible run to the national championship finals, which ended on a controversial goal scored by Herkimer late in the second overtime of the national championship game. Shortly after the team returned home, I had the pleasure of talking to head coach Pedro Braz about his team's historic season. We want to welcome in head coach Pedro Braz. All right, what was the feeling like knowing that your MC men's soccer team was the first MC men's team to advance to the national championship since 1988?
To be honest, there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure knowing that, and then just representing, like you said, since '88. So representing the alums in between that came before us. So representing them, making them proud, meant a lot to me, meant a lot to the coaching staff, and meant a lot to these players. So that's what we try to represent, the MC and then the MC community. So hopefully they are proud of us.
All right, now let's go to the Nationals. In the opener, you knocked off Ocean 5-1. Now, who led the way in that game?
To be honest with you, it wasn't any players or any coaches. It was the weather. Number one, I got to tip my hats off to Ocean because they got hit pretty hard with Hurricane Sandy, and for them to be there and still compete at that high level, it's just a phenomenal. And again, all the prayers and support to the family in the New Jersey area. But Ocean came out strong. They scored in the first 23 seconds. So granted, the weather had an impact again because it was 20 degrees. My team and MC, we wasn't used to 20-degree weather. So they scored and we went to halftime 1-0. We got a little warm. Then we went inside, actually, at halftime, put our jackets on, got a little warm, regrouped, and then the men, I call them the men now, because when we first started, they were boys, and we kind of trying to figure each other out, but they became men. And that second half, we came out, and we did what we had to do. And again, it was a team collective victory. It was 5 different scorers, and we combined it and connected at the right time.
All right, second round, Suffolk. Little tougher game. Came out on top 3-2. How'd you pull that one out?
That one was tougher. Suffolk was number 3 in the country at that time, and it was well-deserved for them to be ranked that high. They were a good team. They were very organized in the back. That game was more tactics. We had to break down their games in their style so that we could compete at that high level. We were not as ranked as high, so we were the underdogs there. If I had to isolate any player at that time, was Samir, the sophomore, the forward. To be honest with you, in preseason, he was on the bubble. He was in the bubble of making the team or not, not because of his athletic ability, but just his attitude from the beginning. So I remember pulling him out and telling him, you're very close to not making this team, or you're very close to making it. So it's really going to come down to you. And to be honest, if I had a player of the tournament, would be him. He changed his attitude, he changed his way, and he became the person that we needed him to be.
All right, let's go to the finals now. The first time in MC men's soccer history that the school has made the national finals. Take us there. What was happening? What was it like? What did it feel like?
It was an experience that I'll always remember for the rest of my life. And that's what I told these student athletes. I told them, regardless, I will be coaching for the rest of my life. But for them, it really came down to them because this experience may never happen to them ever again. So, and I remember we sat down, we had a team meeting before that game, and there was a lot of emotions running, and people we would kind of sit down and let everyone talk. And one story that I can isolate, which he might not like, but it's one of my assistant coaches, Alvaro Neto. He came here and he was a player here, so he knew how much that meant to him and his family and this community. And I remember when we beat Suffolk 3-2, he steps out and he calls his mother, and yes, tears were coming down. And again, this is a man now that been here, that was a player that didn't make it to that national tournament. So there was a lot of emotions. It felt good. It felt right. And granted, we were cut short at the end there in double overtime, and they scored the last 4 minutes. But overall, I thought the team did well. They were kind of together. We peaked at the right time, and that's what's more important.
Well, that was a tough loss. Double overtime, 1-0. bitter pill. I'm sure you're hurting, the players are still hurting. But look at what you guys accomplished this year. Maryland JUCO champions for the first time in school history, Region 20 champions, second in the country, and several players made All-Maryland JUCO: Kevin Andino, Serene Babagay, Mohamed Olari, and Emmanuel Sama. You had 3 make the All-Tournament team, the All-National Tournament team: Kevin Andino, Samir Diarra, and Brandon McCoy. And then you just told me before we went on air that Kevin made first team All-American, Kevin Andino. And you're Maryland JUCO Coach of the Year. I mean, what a season and what a foundation for the future.
And that's what we try to leave. It's that foundation. It's getting something started, planting the seeds, so then we can make something grow. And that's from the beginning. I told these guys, and I told them from the beginning, we have to leave this legacy. We have to leave something here that people can remember you for the rest of their lives. And if it's, and be honest, and my main objective was, when you first interviewed me, it was the academic side. And obviously the grades hasn't come out yet, but that's what we're here for, and especially junior college. We're here to further their academic career, and if they do well on the field, then fair enough, and that's a bonus. So again, all those awards and that coaching staff of the year stuff, to be honest with you, without my coaching staff, I would not receive that coach of the year. They just did a phenomenal job, and if I could add them, it's Javad Shore, Trey Livingston, and Alvaro Neto. Without them, there's no coach of the year, there's no region champs, there's none of that. So I got to tip my hat off to these men that did a really, really great job.